Introduction to Technical Analysis, Lecture 1. We'll start out by going through an overview of the course. That is, what are we going to learn? The structure, how are we going to learn it? And the aims, that is, what do we want to get out of the course? Following on from that, we'll spend some time talking about what is technical analysis and what is the philosophy behind technical analysis. So here we're really getting right into it, and we're just going to start by generally having a discussion about technical analysis as a discipline and as a method of analyzing stocks and other assets. Finally, we'll conclude the lecture by talking about some of the limitations of technical analysis. The limitations of technical analysis is important because we need to know when technical analysis works, and equally importantly, we need to know when it does not work. So there we'll be talking about some of the limitations, that is, where does technical analysis not work. And this is useful so we can avoid these kinds of situations whenever we see them. Okay then, let's get started. Course overview and aims. As I just mentioned in the previous slide, this is an advanced level course on technical analysis. Now, even though it is an advanced course, we will be covering both basic topics and advanced topics. So we know that many of you may have different knowledge of technical analysis up to this point. Some of you may know quite a bit already. Some of you may be quite new to the topic. And so what we'll do initially is just cover the basics a bit, and then we'll move on to the advanced topics. The way we will learn technical analysis is primarily through real-life examples. This is generally the best way to learn anything about investing, and technical analysis is no exception. So this will be a very applied course, and what we will learn how to do is perform technical analysis on a given price series. So a price series is essentially a set of data, right? So it may be, say, the stock price over the last 1 year, daily stock price maybe, and we can plot this. We can also put this into Excel, and we can do analysis on this price series. And the ultimate aim of the course is to learn how to trade using technical analysis, and more specifically, how to build your own trading system. Now, we know that technical analysis is a very large and varied field. There are many different types of indicators, many different types of chart patterns. So how do we combine it all? And that will be our ultimate aim, is that how do we know the right chart pattern, the right indicator to use? Once we know this, we can build our own trading system. A trading system that's optimized to our own investment goals, our own risk tolerance, our own financial situation, and this will be different for everyone. And this course will really be about teaching you how to build this. So we won't be telling you that this is the strategy you need to use, because frankly that doesn't work. What we will teach you is how do you create a strategy, how do you test a strategy, how do you know what's profitable, how do you know what's too risky. Course structure. Let's move on now to discuss the structure of the course. Over this course, there will be 4 modules. They are the Introduction, Chart Patterns and Analysis, Technical Indicators, and Technical Trading Systems. There will be 24 hours of lectures. Each will be approximately an hour long. The 24 lectures will be over the 4 modules. And at the end of each lecture, there will be a quiz to help you gauge your own performance. So, as we said, there are 4 modules. We'll now go on to discuss in detail what each of these modules will consist of. Module 1. Introduction. The first module is the introduction module. Now, if you remember, I said in the beginning that this will be an advanced level course, but we will also be covering some of the basics. And in this lecture, we will really be starting with those basics and learning some of the tools that we can use for technical analysis. So this is really an introduction module. It's an introduction to technical analysis that simply covers the basics. The 4 lectures include this one we are doing currently. Now, what we'll have in this module, in the second half of the module, is an Excel tutorial. Now, this will not necessarily be technical analysis, how to do a strategy, but it will be about how to use Excel. Now, this is very important because when we do the later on more advanced material, we will make a lot of use of Excel. That is, we can use Excel to do a lot of analysis on data, a lot of technical analysis, statistical analysis, all the things that we can use to test strategies and create them. So learning how to use Excel is very important. So we will be doing that in this module, really so we get a good grounding in what we need to know, and this will really give us the tools to carry on forward. So we don't expect that at the end of the first module we'll have gone through how to actually analyze a trade using technical analysis, because this module is really about laying the groundwork. And we want to do this because the course is, we want to make it very thorough. So we want to make it so that any material that comes later on, anyone is capable of understanding it. And you have these introduction modules that have laid that groundwork for you to understand it. Module 2. Chart Patterns and Analysis. The second module consists of 5 lectures. This module will be about how to do technical analysis using charts. And what we will do is learn how to construct a chart, how to read a chart, and what kind of analyses we can do with them. We will use and identify common chart patterns that can be used to predict future prices. Now, when most people think of technical analysis, they think of charts. They think of opening up a chart and looking at the price series and perhaps drawing some support lines or resistance lines and trend lines and various other patterns we can find, head and shoulders for example, and then making inference based on that, making inference based on what we expect the price to do from there. So in this module we will learn how to do that. We will learn all the different patterns you need to know. We'll have simple concepts like support and resistance, and we'll cover advanced concepts like Elliott wave theory. Now, we don't need to be put off if this sounds complicated. It's actually simpler than it sounds, and once we go through it, we'll see that actually it's not difficult to understand at all. And then we will conclude the module by really having a good understanding of how to analyze something using a chart. Now, this will contrast to the following module, where we'll be primarily using data and indicators, and we'll be using a lot of Excel, so less charts and more numbers. And that's actually a different strand of technical analysis, which is kind of newer and a bit more, I guess, more in fashion these days. But this is more classical technical analysis, this module, that is actually looking at the charts and reading them from there. Module 3. Technical Indicators. This is now the third module. This will also consist of 5 lectures. So far we have 4 lectures in the first module, 5 in the second module, and now 5 in the third, giving us a total of 14 lectures. And this part of the course will focus on technical indicators and how to use this tool of analysis. So in the next lecture we'll talk a little bit about what technical indicators are, and we'll give a couple of examples as well. But really, one of the main differences between charts and indicators is that indicators are quantifiable. So they are values that are calculated based on the previous prices, past history of price movement. So for example, we'll discuss an indicator like moving average. I'm sure many of you have seen moving averages. Maybe a lot of you know what they are. Essentially, a moving average is an average of the price over a certain period of days, for example. So a 20-day moving average would be the average price over the last 20 days. And these are indicators. And then these are combined in some way to create trading strategies that give us buy signals or sell signals. So as we mentioned, this part of the course is primarily numerical. Right? So when we do indicators, we can obviously graph a moving average on a chart along with the price. But what we can also do is calculate that moving average in Excel. We can actually do it numerically. And even if it's less visually pleasing, in many ways doing it numerically is a huge advantage because it allows us to actually test trading strategies. So this module will make heavy use of Excel, and this will obviously be important and why we're doing the Excel tutorial in the first module. And this is kind of the more newer, I guess, part of technical analysis within the field. It's not really considered classical technical analysis, whereas that refers to charting, and this is more indicators and can be more statistical as well. Module 4: Technical Trading Systems. This is the fourth and final module of the course, and this module will consist of 10 lectures. And this gives us a total of 24 once we include the first 3 modules. Now this module is really probably the most interesting and exciting part of the course, because what we are going to do in this module is create our own trading system. Right? We will create a trading system. We will teach you how to create your own trading system. And in this, we'll be using all the tools and concepts that we learned previously. So when we learned the different indicators, when we learned the different chart patterns, we will be combining the knowledge from modules 2 and 3 in order to now create a bona fide trading system and trading strategy. And what's key to this is that there are so many indicators out there, right? There are so many technical indicators out there, and often they give mixed signals. You might have a moving average crossover strategy tell you to buy, while you might have a relative strength index indicator telling you to sell. Now, if you didn't understand what that meant, we will go through that later on, so don't worry. But essentially, what is the case with technical analysis is that it's often not clear. Right? Some indicators tell us to buy, some indicators tell us to sell. So how do we pick the right one? How do we know which one works better than others? Which one is the best? And this is where building a trading strategy and a trading system comes into play. Because what we can do now is actually test these indicators for their effectiveness on that particular asset in that particular market condition. So what we'll learn how to do is pick the right technical indicator, which depends on the asset in question, that is, depends on what we are trading, depends on our investment goal as well. What is our time frame? What kind of risk are we looking at? Essentially, we are going to put together all our previous knowledge that we have learned in modules 1, 2, and 3 in order to successfully trade the markets. And this is really where I believe this course stands out, because it gives you this kind of knowledge to actually build your own system, which otherwise it's not that easy to get.